Hey houseplant friends, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be telling you about houseplants that used to be cheap but are actually expensive right now. And you might not know that some of these plants used to be cheap because I'm sure a lot of these are currently on your wish list. I'm going to be using photos from Instagram to show you what these plants are. Please go check out these Instagram accounts that I am using by going into my description and go and give them a follow. Before we get into all the content, please make sure you hit a like and subscribe. Maybe you've been binge watching my videos and you just forgot to hit that subscribe button. Welcome to the community. I also have YouTube memberships which you can check out at the link in the description. Now let's get into the plants. So these are in no particular order, but these are prices that I either remember seeing or people in my Discord who have been collecting longer than me have purchased these plants for a couple years ago. I only started collecting 2.5 years ago. At the very beginning of 2019 was when I got into houseplants. Some of these plants were already expensive by then, and a few of them were only just kind of starting to become expensive. When I joined the community, it was when prices were just starting to kind of get more expensive from what they were being very affordable. Also, so no one asked me about this later, this is a Hello Kitty pimple patch to cover a zit that I have. So number one, we have Philodendron Gabi. This plant, I believe, originated from Gabriella Plants, and I'm pretty sure that they're the ones who quote unquote cultivated it. But basically it is a very extremely variegated Philodendron Heteroecium variety. It used to go for anywhere from $15 to I think $30 when it was first released, because Gabriella Plants would sell it and then people would buy it and then resell it, but it wasn't so popular in the beginning. So it just became this weird thing. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, I blinked and it became one of the most expensive philodendron on the market right now. Well, for tiny Philodendron Heteroeciums. This plant is now worth hundreds of dollars if you have one, and it's pretty bizarre. It's one of the ones that I personally don't get the hype behind. A couple of these I don't really get the hype behind. Philodendron Gabi is a really unique one because it's it existed for I think a whole year, maybe 2 years or a year and a half. And then when Varigated Heteroecium became popular, this also became popular because people were like, oh, well, this is a type of Variegated Heteroecium. And then they started buying it, and then Gabriella Plants started auctioning them, and they raised the price on them quite a bit. And now they're pretty expensive. Yeah, that is the Philodendron Gabi. Next, we have the Philodendron Cream Splash, and these plants used to only be $15. Yes, you heard me right. When I joined the plant community, the Cream Splash was really inexpensive. You could buy a little pot of it for about $15, $20 maybe for a larger 6-inch pot. But what I'm trying to say is it was the same price as most other Philodendron or pothos varieties. Where did this come from? Well, like I said, the Variegated Philodendron Heteroecium burst onto the market maybe 8 months ago or so. I know that I first started seeing them come around last November, which is actually when I got mine, for only $65 for an entire pot. And right after that is when prices really went through the roof. And when people were seeing the Variegated Heteroecium, they were looking for other ways to get a similarly variegated plant, not for the price. And in doing so, people with the Gabi and now the Silver Stripe and also the Cream Splash and all of these other Philodendron variegated varieties are becoming really, really popular. Pretty much all of them are, except for the ones that already had their heyday, like the Mojito. But yeah, the Cream Splash used to go for about $15 for a small pot or $20, $25 for a larger one. Next, we're gonna talk about the Syngonium Elbow, which this was news to me. Quite a few people in my Discord actually remember Syngonium Albo being sold at Home Depots and Lowe's back in the day, or at just different variety big box stores. They would be sold in a variety pack, other different types of Syngonium. When the houseplant craze hit and people started trying to seek out this plant, which by the way was already popular when I joined the plant community in 2019, this plant just hit differently. Growers started holding them back instead of sending them out to Home Depot because they knew that they could get more for them. They wanted to make more, and now that's where we see the Syngonium Albo podophyllum that we do today. I wasn't able to get an accurate price for what this used to sell at, but it's sold at a big box store in a variety pack with other Syngonium. So if I had to say, probably anywhere between $14.89 and $24, to be honest. I really wish I was around for that because it would be so cool to walk into a big box store and just Syngonium Albo pedophyllum. Just vibing with the berry illusions. All right, the next plant I want to tell you about, I actually have personal experience with, and that is the Alocasia Frydek, who is actually right here behind me. The Alocasia Frydek is an amazing plant. It is by far, I think, my very favorite alocasia that does exist, because not only can they get absolutely massive, but they can also stay really tiny and cute. When I first got my Alocasia Frydek, it's actually a photo, my photo of me holding it, I got it to grow very big. I called it Fred, and he was one of my favorite plants. I had him for a very, very long time. One unfortunate day, Fred got knocked off of my shelf by one of my inebriated friends. He was destroyed. All of the leaves broke off. I had him for about 1.5 years when that had happened. But honestly, I didn't even care about Fred in that moment because the pot he was in was so large and heavy. I was just glad it didn't land on my friend's head or ankle and cause her like horrible trauma. Whatever, like, it's a plant. I can get another one. It was really sad because I really liked that plant, but I loved my friend so much more, and I was just glad she was okay. My husband ordered him for me, Fred 2.0, which is this one's name, for Valentine's Day. Alice Plant Studio? I don't know, something like that. Yeah, I don't know. This is the same one. I haven't gotten it to get as big because I don't have the same conditions in this room that I had in my dorm, which is where I got it to get like so massive. The Alocasia Frydek, I bought it originally for $9, I think. It could have been $5.99 as well. It was so long ago, but I do remember it was so cheap. And I wanted one because in Jenna Marble's video, she had one that had just like one leaf, and I thought that was so cute. So I wanted to get one. Then they got really, really popular due to the velvety nature of the leaves. And also, I assume being in Jenna Marble's video made them a lot more popular than they would have been too. So, yeah, the Alocasia Frydek used to be like freaking $5 to $9. Now it's like 30 bucks. Well, sometimes it's a little bit more expensive, but yeah, used to be really cheap. Okay, the next plant I want to talk about is the Cebu Blue, which is like such a hype epipremnum slash pothos right now. And this plant you can actually still get at Walmart, occasionally Lowe's. I have never seen them at Home Depot, but I have seen them at Lowe's and Walmart for about $14.98 whenever they do come in shipments. However, you have to beat the plant poachers who show up to buy all of them and resell them on Etsy and Facebook. My group has actually outlawed reselling plants like that, so my area at least, we don't really have those plant poachers anymore locally, which is amazing because plants will be at the grocery store or wherever and they'll just kind of stay there until the plant enthusiast can kind of get to them. Occasionally people buy like 2 or 3 because they have one for a friend or something, but you know. Cebu Blue is extremely popular. This plant goes for, oh my gosh, like $50 probably to $80 on Etsy here where I'm at. But if you're unfortunate enough to live in Canada or Australia, this plant can get up to the hundreds, depending on what you're looking for. At least in my Discord are always talking about Cebu Blue and how if you could just get a pot like the ones that they sell at Lowe's up to freaking Canada, you could sell it for so much money because it's huge, and normally people are just used to buying a couple strands. 80 to 100 bucks, which is so bizarre to me. Extraordinarily expensive in different countries. America, not so much because Costa is, you know, pumping them out. Like, actually what I've heard is that Costa does ship to certain parts of Canada, but they haven't set up the Cebu Blue. So I don't know. Okay, next one I want to talk about is the Ace of Spades. This plant used to be incredibly cheap. I actually bought one for $50 just 1.5 years ago. And I still have it. I briefly sold it to one of my friends who traded it back to me. The Ace of Spades now sells for like a couple $100 if you're wanting, I mean, even a medium-sized one to quite a lot of money if you're wanting a pretty large one. People are kind of doing tissue culture seedlings, so if you can get like a seedling, seedlings are usually anywhere between $50, $75 to $100-ish for different types of Anthurium seedlings. I've never seen Ace of Spades seedlings for sale, but I'm not exactly looking. So, but yeah, the Ace of Spades used to literally be a $50 plant. How bizarre is that? Like, things have changed so much. And it was like, as soon as I bought that plant, its value started going up, but not high enough that if I wanted to buy another one, because I had traded or sold it to my friend, that I like couldn't get another one if I wanted to. Like, I could have gotten another one, but then as time went on, the value of the plant just kept going up and up and up, and I soon realized I would not be able to get another one, which only made me want it more. Over time, my friend actually decided to trade or sell it back to me, I cannot remember, and now I have it back again, which is really cool. My little $50 Ace of Spades. Next plant we're gonna talk about is the Ring of Fire. So this plant plant used to be relatively inexpensive to what it is now. Right now, you could buy a little 4-inch, maybe a 2-inch with 2 or 3 different like leaves for maybe $150 to $200. I first started collecting from the 70s. They got in a 3-gallon, or maybe it was a 2-gallon, but the thing was massive, Ring of Fire, and I bought the whole thing for $150, and it was, let me tell you, huge. Because that one was so like cheap for being so big, the smaller ones were anywhere from like $50 to $75. So while it wasn't so cheap compared to the prices now, where the Ring of Fire is basically like the less cool caramel marble, Ring of Fires are going for quite a couple $100s if you want like a decent sized one or a pretty variegated one. There are some people on Facebook who are selling for less, but if you're going to Mercari or eBay or Etsy, you're gonna see quite a pretty price tag on this plant. And also, I couldn't think of a 10th plant to put on this list, so thank you Lulu's Leaves for that recommendation, because I actually had owned one and I'd completely forgotten about it. Now I want to talk about the pink princess philodendron, which I'm sure you are baffled that this plant used to be cheap. This plant used to sell for literally $10 to $20 before the hype train set in for this plant. I know people who paid only $10 for a 2 and 4-inch version of this plant. It was being sold for so cheap and people were pretty much selling it everywhere. And people usually, when they talk about this, they say it was about 5 to 6 years ago that this was happening, but then other people say it was only 4 years ago. Either way, it was well before I ever joined the community. But when I joined the community, I was with my mom when she bought her first pink princess, and that was before I was really interested in them. That was 2019. Yeah, that was summer 2019, and my mom paid $75 for a 4-inch, very tall, very beautiful pot pink princess that she still has today. So it was huge, like, and we got it from Peace, Love, and Happiness Club. It was way back in the day. I think I can even find the clip. It might have been $95, but whatever it was sub 100 for this large and beautiful plant that my mom still has. Pink princess used to be really cheap, but then when the surge of like variegated plants hit, it was one of the first ones to go up because, hey, a naturally pink plant, what the heck is this? So anyways, that's the pink princess, and it's very small, old price tag. Next we have the Philodendron Pedatum, and this plant actually, you know, it's not that expensive right now. In most cases it's still sub 100. When I first got my Pedatum, it was $10 and we got it from Pistols in Portland, Oregon. And I was on the hunt for this plant. Even though it wasn't rare at the time, it was pretty common. I just couldn't find it anywhere in Oregon, and I wanted one so bad. And I can't even remember why, because when I saw it in person, I was like very underwhelmed. But my mom, when she saw it in person, she fell in love and she bought 2 from Pistols. It was a total of $20 for both plants. Now the Pedatum is selling for like $60, $75, $90, and so not as expensive, but definitely more expensive than it was. I think the reason that the Pedatum is more popular is because it's kind of like unvariegated version of Florida Beauty or whatever, because, you know, there's that whole group of plants, right? There's the Pedatum, there's the Florida Green, there's the Squamiferum, you know, there's all these different plants with that kind of shape. And the Pedatum was kind of like the cheapest one, which is like if you wanted a dupe and you didn't want to pay a lot of money, you could just get the Pedatum, and I think that that's why it was so widely sought out for a while. And lastly, I'm going to talk about the Variegated String of Hearts. This is another one that I did not experience myself because when I joined the community, it was already a more expensive plant. Not as expensive it is right now, but it was more expensive than it. And people tell me that they were able to find Variegated String of Hearts for anywhere between $10 to $20 for a massive long hanging pot that was full of the plant. Honestly, sounds like a fever dream to me. This is something I would love to see in person. I know Sharina Talata said that she passed up buying one herself, but she had a friend who was there with her who bought it and was like, no, you need this. This is like a really ridiculous price. Price was starting to go up for the first time and the plant was becoming more popular. So the Variegated String of Hearts was going for about like $10 to $20 for a decently full pot of one. Now we see actually from We Love Plants Co. I got a $25 pot. This was what I got for $25, which might not seem like a lot to you, but normally when you're paying $25 for this online, you're getting one rooted leaf. So I was overjoyed when this was the amount that I got for that price. The one that I have that's a pretty large one, I have I think 3 different plants in there that I've been growing for over 1.5 years at this point. I just keep looping them up, they grow back down, I loop them back up, they grow back down, and it's slowly becoming a full one. If you ever have the ability to find one of these at a really full pot, like if I ever saw one of these in a full pot and it was only $100 or even $150, I would buy it. Like if it was a 6-inch full hanging so long, I would buy it on the spot because it is one of my favorite plants, but used to be able to get this plant in that size for a lot less. And there you have it. Those are plants that used to be really cheap that are now pretty expensive. My friend Lucia over at Lulu's Leaves also made one of these for Canada. She lives up in Canada, so I'll link her channel also in the description. You can go check it out, give her a subscribe. As of today, she just hit 10,000 subscribers, which is really cool. So go give her a subscribe. I genuinely love her, and I don't know, Lucia's great. Go subscribe to her channel. But yeah, she made a Canadian one. Our lists are completely different because we are living in different parts of the world. But yeah, this was my list and I hope that you liked it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure you give it a like, subscribe, and tweet me at PlantMeAshley. Follow me on Instagram, also at PlantMeAshley, and TikTok and Twitter. Also, join our Reddit. We have a Reddit now. It is r/PlantMeMeme. Don't forget to check out my YouTube channel memberships. They're only $5 a month, and you get access to an entire community of 160, well, almost 170 now. And that is all I have for you today, so I'll see you in the next houseplant section. Goodbye. Thank you so much for the extra channel support to Carissa Lawrence, All the Green Places, and Botanicas.